A top 15 showdown ahead here at the Finn. We are at the Finneran Pavilion for number 9 Villanova and number 13 Butler. Tip-off at 7 Eastern time, and Big East Shootaround is your perfect pregame hangout. He is Darryl Reynolds, the Villanova national champion, knows a thing or two about winning games here. And I'm John Fanta, setting the table for this one. Coming up on the show, Jerry Carino from Asbury Park Press will break down Seton Hall, who's number 10 in the country. John Rothstein from CBS Sports will stop by with his keys as well. But D-Ray, here we go. Villanova and Butler. This is a huge matchup, and you played Butler back when they got a victory in this building in 2017. They're the lone Big East team to beat Villanova here. What's so tough about playing the Bulldogs?
The Bulldogs just have a great philosophy on being the toughest team on the floor. They like to be first to 50-50 balls. They like the first rebounds. They like to play a tough man-to-man defense. And when you see a team like that, there are a lot of things that Villanova, quite frankly, prides himself on. It becomes a difficult game because you're playing someone that's a lot like you.
Jay Wright said, and we'll hear from the coaches here coming up, that watching Butler on film is very enjoyable because he likes the way that they play, but he said playing the Bulldogs can be a real nightmare.
Yeah, they're a tough team. They have their Butler way about them, which is something they really take pride in. They stick to a code. Like you mentioned earlier, our only loss in the pavilion was against them. You know what I mean? A team that just came in. Back then they had Andrew Travis, and they just came in and quite frankly, that night, they were a very tough team to play, but they pride themselves on doing that every night.
So we are going to take a quick break here on Big East Shoot-Around. We've got a bunch coming up for you. But to start things out, number 9 Villanova, number 13 Butler. What a showdown here tonight.
There's nothing like the Big East tournament. It's the most competitive conference in the country.
Fans feel it. The energy in the building right now is phenomenal.
You have to be determined. You have to be tough.
Every game's a big game.
Howard for the win.
It's survive and advance.
The Musketeers will move on to the semifinals.
You lose, you go home. At the end of the day, it's all about who wants it more.
And Seton Hall is at 5.
The Big East Tournament at Madison Square Garden. Get tickets now.
Great to be back here with you at the Finneran Pavilion ahead of Butler and Villanova tonight. 7 Eastern time on CBS Sports Network, and on the sidelines is the Insider's Insider, John Rothstein. John, thanks for coming by.
John, great to be here, and I just want to say it's a real thrill to finally meet you in person.
Well, it's great to see you here at the Finn. And these two teams coming into tonight have both been getting it done on the defensive end of the floor. What do you see deciding this one?
Well, can Villanova go over the top of Butler's defense? When you think about Villanova basketball under Jay Wright, you think of shot creators and shot makers and the ability to constantly go over the top of the defense. This team, not necessarily the most explosive offensive team that Jay Wright has had, and that's why the lights have come out here at the Finn.
Yeah, we're talking basketball with you here in the dark, so bear with us while they go through the pregame situation here. But, John, let's keep talking Villanova for a moment. You call them a Fortune 500 company. Yeah. But one thing that's defined that company is seniors. This year they don't have them. What's been the key?
Now, this group at Villanova looks like they're set up for a big 2-year run. If Villanova brings back everybody intact next season, this is a team that I think has a great chance to be the number 1 ranked team in the country entering next season. But the one thing you look at with this Villanova team that's constant to other Villanova teams that we've seen go far in the NCAA tournament is great guard play. And that all comes back to Colin Gillespie, the Iron Man for Villanova. In a lot of ways, the Cal Ripken of the Big East.
Gillespie averaging 15 points per game with a 42% mark from the field. Kamar Baldwin right around there as well. And fans are in for a treat tonight at 7 Eastern time, CBS Sports Network, because not only is Gillespie on the floor, but Baldwin on the other side is the prime reason why this Bulldogs team has climbed up the national rankings.
Well, and you've got a backcourt right now with Baldwin, with Thompson that can get underneath the the offense each and every time that they get going. And that's one thing you love to see if you're somebody like LaVall Jordan, because you have disruptors at the top of your defense. And the experience of this Butler team really starting to resonate. Its top 7 scorers features 3 seniors, 3 juniors, and a sophomore.
Experience wins.
Absolutely.
And in the Big East Conference, you think about, as you take a look at Gillespie and Baldwin right now on your screen, these two are identical in a lot of ways. And Jay Wright was saying about this matchup, he goes, I love watching Butler on tape, but it's a nightmare to play them. Yeah. He said both teams value the basketball. Both teams are pretty efficient. He said this is the type of game. It could be first to 60, could be 1-2 possessions.
No, it has the makings of a meat grinder without question. And the one thing that you need to look at when you look at Villanova long term is, can their offense get back into a flow? Other than the game that was won in overtime against DePaul, Villanova's average right now offensively in the Big East is right in the mid-60s. That is not the Villanova basketball that we have seen with Hart, with Jenkins, with Brunson, with Archie Diacono. It's been much more explosive offensively, a much different feel at Villanova this year.
John Rothstein will be on the sidelines on CBS Sports Network. Andrew Catalon, Steve Lapis on the call.
Yep.
John, you've been covering college hoops now for quite a few years. What would you say about this year in the Big East Conference?
The Big East Conference this year is the top the league has been from top to bottom since realignment, and it reminds me of the old Big East Conference in this sense. The one thing that always translated in the old Big East, even if you had teams that were at the bottom that were expected, obviously, to not make the postseason, is that every single night the game meant something. Why is this league maybe a little bit different? There is no bottom. The bottom can eat the middle, as we saw with what DePaul did against Butler last Saturday. That was a DePaul team that, entering that game against Butler, had not won a conference game and then dominated the Bulldogs from tip to finish in Chicago.
Is the best team in the Big East in this building tonight?
No, the best team right now in the Big East is the Seton Hall Pirates, and here's the amazing thing. You've got a player in Miles Powell that is separating himself as the National Player of the Year in college basketball. You've got a team in Seton Hall that's separating itself as the best team in the Big East in a year in which the Big East has been better than it's ever been since realignment, and this is all happening without Seton Hall's second-best player in Sandro Mamalikashvili. Say it now, Pirates fans. You should expect a party like it's 1989. In a year where parity is dominating college basketball, Seton Hall more than capable of winning 6 games in the NCAA tournament and winning a national championship.
Wow. Kevin Willard?
The chiropractor. Nobody makes more adjustments.
John, have a great call tonight.
Great to be with you guys.
You've got 2 in one night. You're going to St. Joe's.
Going to VCU and St. Joe's, but no cheesesteak across the street, obviously, like we've seen the last couple of years. Got to cut back on the red meat.
I'll handle that for you.
You got it, big guy.
It's John Rothstein. We will take a quick timeout on Shootaround. Be back with more after this.
There's nothing like the Big East tournament. It's the most competitive conference in the country.
Fans feel it. The energy in the building right now is phenomenal.
You have to be determined. You have to be tough.
Every game's a big game.
Howard for the win.
It's survive and advance.
The Musketeers will move on to the semifinals.
You lose, you go home. At the end of the day, it's all about who wants it more.
And Seton Hall survived.
The Big East Tournament at Madison Square Garden. Get tickets now.
He is Daryl Reynolds. I'm John Fanta here with you at the Finneran Pavilion. Thanks to CBS Sports Insider John Rothstein for joining us just moments ago. Let's look at the Big East headlines. And Daryl, Marcus Howard. Yeah. Mama, there goes that man again.
Yeah, it's amazing. With as great as Miles Powell is playing, people have forgotten, like, Marcus Howard is still the man. Like, he still could win Conference Player of the Year, so he's doing a great job over there at Marquette.
Coming off a 42-point performance against Georgetown in a game that saw Howard continue his heroics. Steve Wojciechowski said after, this was also a team win for us. Yes. Anything in the Big East that you're getting on the road this year, it's got to be a complete performance. And what a win for Marquette behind Howard's 7th 40-point performance of his career.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about him getting some help, and his teammates are definitely stepping up. You see guys putting themselves in position to make better shots. You see them guys, if he's getting guarded heavily, guys are cutting. They're making themselves more available for him to give out passes to. So he's doing a great job, but obviously we can't knock the 42, but I love to see Marquette as a whole getting better.
Golden Eagles take on St. John's tonight, 9 Eastern time on FS1. Headline number 2. Let's go to Chicago, where a breeze blew through the Windy City, and it's the DePaul Blue Demons who got on the board in Big East play on Saturday with a top 5 win over Butler. DePaul in desperation mode, they put it all together.
Yeah, I mean, that team, thank God, they are figuring it out. But like we said before, they're one of those teams that are definitely going to get better throughout the year. In the beginning of this year, before conference play, everybody thought DePaul would be at the top of it. But I still think they can make a push forward towards the end of this Big East conference.
Why do you think they can make a push?
Because they're one of those teams that really understand that it's a work in progress. Every game you see them getting better. Every game you see guys, obviously Paul Reed is the guy through and through, but every game you see them getting better and better, and all it takes is them to put together a string of good games at the end of January, February, and then it's, oh my God, hold on, White.
Whitey
Sorry,
Risby
I
is
was
here.
so scared he was about to.
This guy's a celebrity around here. That's a headline in and of itself. Yeah, you know, kissing babies, shaking hands, changing America. Is this SmackDown? Which you can watch Fridays on Fox. Whitey just got me into a chokehold.
Yeah, no, that's what I was scared of. Like, once I saw him creeping back there, I'm pretty sure y'all can see it on here. Like, I was scared he was going to snatch a mic or something.
Where did Whitey learn that from?
He played back then, man.
He played.
That wasn't a foul
back then.
That wasn't a foul back then.
Right. Third headline. For the first time in 20 years, Seton Hall is in the top 10 in America, coming in at number 10 in the AP poll. They've won 8 in a row, Daryl. What's been the key for this Seton Hall team?
They're a complete team. I understand that it's the Miles Powell show through and through, but nobody is taking a back seat when they get a chance to step up. But with the way he's playing, it's hard to beat a team that understands, every player understands their role through and through. You know what I mean? Like, he's leading them, but Seton Hall is a complete team. Obviously, that kind of hurts to say, being here, but I got to tip my hat to them. They're doing a great job.
Hey, Seton Hall has not won at Villanova, and Daryl knows this because he always beats Seton Hall at his place. Seton Hall hasn't won at Villanova since 1993. Those two teams are going to meet on Fox February 8th at Wells Fargo. That's big time.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, it's anybody's game, but the beauty of it is both teams are getting better. I think it's going to be a great guard matchup between Colin Gillespie and Miles Powell, but like I said, it's a team effort. You know what I mean? I don't want to individualize it too much because they're a great team, and Kevin Willis doing a great job of keeping them together.
Oh, you talk about these two teams, they don't individualize. Villanova may have Colin Gillespie, Butler may have Kamar Baldwin, but both coaches talked about how you need completeness to pull one out here tonight. Neither one of these teams beat themselves, and they're both very efficient in what they do.
Yes.
Here's what Butler head coach LaVall Jordan and Villanova's Jay Wright said about this matchup, and Wright with a message for D-Ray. Just check it out. Joined by Butler head coach LaVall Jordan as the Bulldogs are preparing to take on Villanova tonight. LaVall, coming off the 2 losses, what would you like to see change in your group?
Well, one, we got to do a better job on the defensive end of the court. You know, we haven't just been consistent as we had been in the last 2 games in particular. And obviously, you know, teams are good and coaches are good, but we got to be able to match that and just stick to our principles. And then 2, just take care of the basketball. You know, we've had issues in these last couple games. Not necessarily what the other team is doing. It's just, you know, poor decision making and sloppy ball handling. So we got to take care of the ball to give ourselves our best chance.
How much does taking care of the basketball get magnified when you're playing Villanova?
Oh, no, anybody in this league. I mean, you name it, you're making it a lot harder on yourself, you know, if you're going to give them extra possessions. And so, obviously, Villanova with their offense and their efficiency and how good they are and how well they shoot the basketball, you certainly don't want to give them extras.
What's the difference when you play this Villanova team? You talked about every game in this league is tough, but what specifically about the way Jay Wright does it makes it tough to prepare for them?
They're extremely disciplined. You know, you just watch them operate, and obviously Jay's been doing it for years, and the names on the back change, the names on the front, Villanova, so they're going to play their way, and you've got to play very disciplined to hang in there and have a chance, you know. So they do a good job of spreading you out and driving and kicking and posting matchups. And then on the other end, you know, they stay disciplined, and so we've got to be able to read and react well, and then you got to finish on that end of the court. So, you know, expect it to be a battle tonight, and you know what type of battle it is when you're going to see a Villanova basketball team.
One strength of this Butler team has been rebounding the basketball. You lead the Big East nearly +9 in rebounding margin, and you're in double digits in conference play. How much do you emphasize that against a Villanova team that does tend to play smaller?
Well, you know, just for us in general, obviously defensive rebounding is a big key. You know, just limiting teams to one shot, and there's so many teams in our league, especially that they do a great job on the offensive glass. And then for us to try to get some extra, it's a possession game, and so if we can go get some extras, and we've got, you know, personnel to do it, and challenge those guys to, you know, have a motor and continue to go, and obviously tonight extra possessions are going to matter. I mean, you know, it's life in the Big East, John. It's going to be 1-2 possession games for the most part, and everyone matters. So you know, taking care of the ball and getting to the glass and trying to anything you do to get one more possession to have your best chance, you know, against anybody in the Big East.
Just 72 hours ago, you're at DePaul. That didn't go the way you wanted it. How key is short memory in this conference?
Huge. It's we're in a stretch here. It's like you got to learn from it, and then you got to move on quick. And so you learn some lessons and try to be better the next time out. You're just trying to play your best basketball. I think that's our mission. Is we've seen ourselves play well. We haven't seen ourselves play 40 minutes all year this year, but we've played some pretty good basketball, and we just want to play our best basketball because you need it every night. If you don't, what happened to us at DePaul will happen to you. So you got to bring it every night.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Joined by Villanova head coach Jay Wright ahead of the showdown with Butler tonight. And Jay, just looking at your team, 5 of the last 6 victories for your group have come by 2 possessions or less. What is it about this group that just allows them to finish in those closing moments?
Well, that's a good part. We are finishing. We've been smart at the end of the games, most games. Maybe not the DePaul game. I think we got a little lucky on that one. But the rest of them, we've executed down the stretch, which is pretty good. I'd like to see us be in a little bit better position at that point, but we'll take it for right now.
What do you see out of this Butler team?
I love this team. I always love watching Butler film. They're just so disciplined and fundamentally sound and so unselfish. I just love how they play, and this is, I think, one of their better teams because everybody's experienced. They're really well connected on both ends of the floor, and that's what a good team does, and that travels well. So they've always played us tough in here.
What do you have to do to keep them from playing their A game?
I don't think when you play Butler there's any one thing you have to do. You have to be a really sound, solid basketball team, and you've got to do it for 40 minutes. Like if you crack, they'll go on a little run, and then they're smart, and they get a lead. They're hard to come back on. So you got to play a smart 40-minute basketball game.
Nationally, Miles Powell, Seton Hall, Marcus Howard, and Marquette lead a lot of the talk. Tonight, this matchup offers Colin Gillespie and Kamar Baldwin. How much of this is a showcase of the great talent that we see in this league? Yeah,
the Big East has got great teams, and usually you have great teams because you have great players, and this is another part of that. I think you talked about Miles Powell, Marcus Howard. I mean, those guys are 2 of the best in the country. These 2 tonight are right up there with them. Maybe don't have the scoring power that those 2 do, but they're right up there and leaders of their team, and guys that when crunch time comes are always available to make the play.
Finally, thinking big picture about your group, we've checked in on this topic with this Villanova team a couple of times, and in the last 7 games, you've only allowed 63 points per game. What do you make of the defense at the moment?
I think it's some good defense, and I think it's desperation that we can't score. So we got to keep it down. I'd like to see us get our offense going a little bit better, but I'm proud of how we're growing defensively. We still got some work to do. We got beat up on the boards by UConn. We've got some work to do there, but I'm proud of the progress we're making.
Daryl Reynolds is my partner on the show. What's your message for D-Ray?
D-Ray is a rock star. D-Ray is definitely a star in the making. He was the consummate team player, and I know in whatever he does, I know he'll be a great teammate for you and partner for you.
He even can handle the ball, he claims.
No, let's not go too far. He's one of the great defensive players, one of the great rebounders. That's
Thanks to both coaches for the time earlier today, and we're going to get D-Ray's thoughts on that quote from Coach Wright about how, let's not get crazy here. I'm not sure about D-Ray's handles. I have to see his handles later in this season as we turn the corner to the Big East standings. And this matchup between Villanova and Butler not only is a top 15 game, but it has major implications. Think about this. The loser of this game, if it's Butler, all of a sudden they're 3 games behind the team at the top of the standings, Seton Hall. If Villanova loses, they're 2 games behind Seton Hall, which seems hard to believe. But now that we're deeper into the month of January, you have to start paying attention to those things. And when you consider that Seton Hall's at the top at 6-0, it really says a lot about where these 2 teams are in the standings. Elsewhere, Marquette taking on St. John's. The Johnnies trying to avoid going to 1-5. And then tomorrow, a big game, folks. Xavier hosting Georgetown. Georgetown with 2 conference wins, Xavier with just 1. That is a huge contest on FS1. Take a look at the AP Top 25, and you've got 3 Big East teams in the top 13. Villanova and Butler coming up 7 Eastern time, and then there's those Seton Hall Pirates in the top 10 for the first time since 2000. And that was early in the season. This is the deepest in a season that they've been in the top 10 since you'd have to go back to 1993. It's a magical time right now in South Orange, New Jersey. The Pirates have won 8 in a row. That's for their longest winning streak under Kevin Willard. And they're off to a 6-0 start in the Big East. That's the first for the program in its history. Who better to talk Seton Hall basketball with than the longtime beat reporter for the Pirates? It is at NJ Hoopshaven on Twitter, the Asbury Park Press's Jerry Carino. Here's what he had to say about the Hall.
It's been 20 years. And the last time they were ranked in the top 10, it was kind of a phony ranking because it was in November based on a big-time freshman class they had that turned out to not really be up to the billing. So really the last time they had a legitimate top 10 team was 1992-93, the great Terry DeHare, Jerry Walker, PJ Carlissimo squad that wound up being a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. So this just shows you at Seton Hall, hey, this isn't Duke, this isn't Kentucky. This is a generational thing, and it's taken a lot of work and a lot of people pulling in the right direction and a little bit of luck, to get a guy like Miles Powell who flew under everybody's radar and to have him blossom into this incredible All-American. So things have lined up. The stars are aligning, and you could just sense the excitement around the program, John. 2 more months as a potential top 10 team. The sky feels like the limit.
The Pirates take on Providence Wednesday night on FS1. That's the first of 3 straight at home, Jerry. 7 more chances for Seton Hall fans to see Miles Powell at the Prudential Center. Just what would you say about what he's meant to this program, the job Kevin Willard's done, and what this team's ceiling could be?
Well, first of all, I think Powell is a unique player in the modern history of this program. There has never been a player with Miles Powell's combination of charisma, toughness, and skill. Terry DeHare was a great player, but Jerry Walker was the personality and the leader of that team. Miles Powell is all that rolled into one. You probably have to go back to the 1950s, even before my time, way before, for a player like Powell who wore the uniform. I've said it many times, Johnny, I cannot see number 13 ever being issued again to a Seton Hall Pirate. So, yes, Seton Hall fans should cherish this. They should enjoy this. There's not a parade of Miles Powell banging down the door. He is a one and only guy. He gets better as the game goes on. He makes his teammates better. He represents the school wonderfully. And so the sky's the limit for Seton Hall because you have potentially the best player in the country. You have what's going to be a 10-deep rotation with Sandro coming back sometime during this homestand from his broken wrist. You have a team where everyone knows its roles, where there's leadership and good coaching, and the iron has been sharpened by a tough schedule and a great league. So to me, the limit, the ceiling is the national title. And it's something Seton Hall fans have to get used to hearing. That's what your ceiling is, and that's what Miles Powell, who could be National Player of the Year, could lead this program to.
You're queuing people up, looking for flights to Atlanta right now on Google.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, if everything goes as planned for this program, fans can just do a lot of driving to see their team in the NCAA tournament. Maybe an Albany pod, maybe an East Regional at Madison Square Garden. That's the golden road for Seton Hall to get to where they want to go.
What a time in South Orange, New Jersey. The Pirates have won 8 straight games. It's the first time they're 6-0 in the Big East in program history. Speaking of the Big East, Jerry, all 10 teams in the league are in the top 80 of the net rankings. What are your impressions of this league?
Yeah, it's the best league top to bottom. The Big Ten has a lot of terrific teams, but they have 2 really bad teams. And so those are like days off almost, like buys for the other teams. There is no such thing in the Big East. And who's the 10th best team? Who's the 9th best team? Who's the 8th best team? I mean, I saw St. John's play in person Saturday. They were incredible. They were tough as nails. And so that's the 9th best team and 10th best team in the Big East. That's a really good team that could beat anybody. So I don't remember the league not having a bottom, really almost any league not having a bottom. And that's what's going to make for a fascinating home stretch and certainly a crazy Big East tournament. And the possibility to get 6 or 7 teams in the NCAA tournament, because you're not going to take a quad 3 loss from now on. There are no bad losses anywhere in the Big East schedule, and that's got to be something that helps the league on Selection Sunday.
It's amazing. You look at the net rankings right now. Providence is the lowest team at 79. If you saw Providence and St. John's, they're hovering right around there. If they hop into the top 75, that means that every road game in the Big East is considered a quadrant 1 game.
Right. There's no question that's unprecedented under the current system, John. And look, it's a testament to the league and the schools that put basketball first. It's a testament to the coaches. When they broke off in 2013, rebranded, downsized, whatever, the mandate was to get and keep and retain good coaches. And that's what you're seeing. When a Jay Wright sticks around after winning 2 national titles with the Sixers, I'm sure banging down his door. When Ed Cooley is getting calls from Michigan and staying in Providence, when Kevin Willard has Virginia Tech backing up a Brinks truck and he stays in South Orange, that's what makes the league good over time, and that's what you're seeing now.
You can follow Jerry Carino at NJHoopsHaven on Twitter. Thanks to Jerry for the time. He's D-Ray, Daryl Reynolds, former Villanova national champion. I'm John Fanta. As we wind down here on Big East Shootaround, I have to ask you, Coach Wright said you could rebound and defend, but he said to me, first time he's ever said this, he goes, let's not get crazy here about ball handling.
Yeah, see, I always talk about guys sticking to what they do best. I left the handling to Josh and Arch and Jalen, but yeah, I say Coach is right on this one. We on air, so Coach is right.
When did ball handling go out the window?
Right after high school. Right after high school.
Translation, right when I got to Villanova.
Yes, yeah. Didn't want to say it. Thank you. You said it. I didn't say it.
Let's talk about the rest of the Big East. We've talked about this game, and we'll give some final keys in a moment. But 2 games tonight. St. John's Marquette ahead tonight.
Yep.
3 tomorrow. Seton Hall hosting Providence.
Yes.
You've got Creighton and DePaul, and then Georgetown Xavier. I'll tell you what, Providence, they had that slow start to the season, but now David Duke with a 30-plus point performance at Creighton, he seems to have found himself.
Yes, we understood Providence, one of those teams that are going to click it. Like, so much emphasis is on alpha. All it takes is that one other guy, and David Duke has been putting together a great sophomore campaign. He's taken a huge leap from last year, so excited about him. Obviously not too excited. It's another team, but I'm definitely excited to see how well he keeps playing.
The other matchup, DePaul and Creighton, Daryl.
Yeah.
DePaul size, Reed and Butts.
Yeah.
Creighton spread offense where they try to beat you on the perimeter. Something's got to give there.
Quite frankly, I think that's going to be a very high-scoring game. I think that's one of those games that come down to who wins the 3-war. You know what I mean? Both teams have a couple of guys who can hit shots from the perimeter. Obviously, Creighton, that's their trademark, but that is going to be a very high-volume, high-paced game.
What determines this game tonight?
Toughness. Physically, obviously on the inside, we're rebounding defense, and mental toughness. Which team can just continue to weather the storm? Like we said before, both of these teams mirror each other's styles in the sense of what they take pride in and what they want to win the game in, but it's going to come down to toughness, mentally and physically.
Jermaine Samuels coming off a 19-point performance against UConn on Saturday. A 61-55 Villanova win in which Jay Wright switched to the zone defense. Caught the Huskies by surprise, even caught his players by surprise a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to keep teams on their toes, which I appreciate, but also shout out Big Game Maine. Once again, did I'm the one who noticed he did it like almost in the exact same spot as last time?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So Big Game Maine, obviously a beast from the top of the key, but yeah,
Where's your sweet spot?
For me, the other slot, but not 3, elbow. The elbow. Yes, sir.
So my sweet spot growing up was the baseline, Jay.
Okay.
From about 12 feet out.
It's a lost art. Man.
It is a lost. The baseline jumper is a very much lost art. Villanova's offense does just about everything right. I think I could add a baseline Jay to it.
Hey, man. Holla at Jay about it. I don't make those decisions. You know, that's above my pay grade.
You'll put in a word?
Exactly.
He knows people around here.
I will CC him on that.
You'll CC him on the email. BCC me on the email. Blind copy me on that, okay? All right?
Yes, sir, John. Yes, sir.
2 notes here as we part. 1, this is crazy. Villanova is 8-0 this season in games decided by 10 points or less. Sound smart with your friends. That is quite the note. And then, two, you talked about physicality. Butler leads the Big East with a nearly +9 rebounding margin. So Villanova's got to be ready tonight on the glass. It's got to be Samuels, Bay. They do it by committee.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on J-Rob with the rebounding because he is one of their best rebounders. But it's going to be a team effort, and that's the beauty of Villanova and Butler. Both teams, like you see Kamar Baldwin getting on there on certain things, both teams are not afraid to get their hands dirty. So it's going to come down to who's the tougher team.
Something, man. Robinson, Earl, and Moore. Jay Wright just said there's something different about these freshmen in terms of their maturation process.
Yeah, they picked it up fast. I mean, in a way, they didn't have a choice but to, but it's amazing to see how quickly they're buying into the system here.
How much you live for a top 15 game at the Finn on campus?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, as a player,
yeah,
I loved it. As a media guy, I love it.
I love it too.
You thought someone was coming out.
I love it too. I mean, this is big time. What's campus like on a game day here?
It's a certain buzz just going around. Everybody you talk to is talking about the game. Everybody understands it. And that's the beauty of small schools like Villanova and Butler. Everybody's aware of what's going on when it comes to Villanova basketball and Butler basketball, but basketball on campus.
They're all aware on campus. Tonight, the country will be aware. Two top 15 teams in the Big East squaring off 7 Eastern time. This game is on CBS Sports Network. Follow us at Big East MBB on Twitter. We will have in-game coverage and then post-game interviews and analysis from this one. It's a big showdown for the regular season standings, NCAA tournament resume, and for these two teams and where they stand in the nation. D-Ray, let's tip this thing off.
My man, let's do it.
He's Daryl Reynolds, thanks to John Rothstein, Jerry Carino as well. Enjoy the night of Big East Hoops. You got Nova Butler and Marquette St. John's. I'm John Fanta saying so long for now from the Finn. Here we go.